There is a strength in this world that does not roar. It does not parade itself in the streets or demand the applause of the crowd. It is quiet, steady, unshakable. It is faith. Faith is the courage to stand when everything around you tells you to fall. It is to take a step forward when the path is lost in shadow, and still believe there is ground beneath your feet. We're taught to trust only what we can see, only what we can touch. But there are moments, life-altering moments, when sight fails, when proof disappears, and the only thing left is the choice to believe. And when we choose to believe, something happens. The walls between us begin to crumble. The distances we thought impossible to cross grow smaller. Because faith is not just a private fire. It is a bridge between strangers, between generations, between hearts that otherwise would never meet. There will come nights in your life when the darkness feels endless, when every voice you once trusted has fallen silent. It is in those moments that faith leans close and whispers, "Hold on," not with a promise that the storm will vanish instantly, but with the promise that it will not last forever. That dawn, whether you can see it or not, is already on its way. Faith does not shield us from pain. It does not erase our wounds. What it does is transform them. It takes loss and turns it into compassion. It takes heartbreak and turns it into strength. It takes the scars life leaves behind and makes them stories of survival. And the beauty of faith is this: it is never meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be lived, shared, given away in a smile to a stranger, in a hand held during grief, in the sacrifices no one will ever see, because the faith you hold today could be the light that carries someone else through their darkness tomorrow. So walk forward, even if your steps are slow. Speak hope, even if your voice trembles. And believe even when there's no reason to, because sometimes that is the very moment faith is at its most powerful. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself with noise or spectacle. It does not need to raise its voice or stand in the spotlight to prove its worth. It exists in the quiet places within the human heart, in the moments when no one is watching, in the choices we make when the world has turned its back. This strength is not the product of muscle or force. It is born from faith. Faith as a quiet strength is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to hold steady in the presence of it. It is a calm resolve that refuses to be swayed by the storms that rage around us. While others may panic, shout, or despair, faith stands rooted like an old tree whose roots run deep enough to withstand the fiercest winds. Its power is not in movement, but in endurance. It teaches us that strength is not always about striking back or pushing forward. It is often about refusing to let go, even when letting go would be easier. In a world that celebrates noise, speed, and visible results, quiet strength can be mistaken for weakness. But faith knows that what matters most is often invisible. It does not chase approval or demand recognition. It lives in the unseen corners of our lives. It is there when we forgive someone who has wronged us, not because they asked, but because we know bitterness will only chain us to the past. It is there when we choose patience in a season of waiting, trusting that the right time will come, even when we cannot see it yet. Quiet strength through faith does not need constant reassurance. It does not crumble under uncertainty. Instead, it draws from something deeper, something beyond the self. It is the reason a single parent can rise each morning and face another day of challenges. It is the reason a person in grief can still find the courage to smile. It is the reason someone beaten down by life can still extend kindness to a stranger. Faith's quiet strength is not built in the easy moments. It is forged in the difficult ones. It asks for no praise, yet it carries us when nothing else can. It whispers in the stillness, reminding us that hope is never wasted and that the strongest hearts are often the ones that beat in silence. There is a courage unlike any other, the courage to believe without seeing. It is not the kind that charges into battle with banners waving, or the kind that demands instant proof before taking a step. It is quieter, but no less fierce. It asks us to trust when the evidence is hidden, to move forward when the path disappears into fog. It is the courage of the traveler who takes the next step on a road they have never walked, certain only that the destination is worth reaching. Believing without seeing is an act of defiance against fear. Fear thrives on the unknown. It feeds on uncertainty, on the absence of guarantees. Faith, in its purest form, stares into that emptiness and chooses to act anyway. It is the steady hand reaching out in the dark, trusting there will be something to hold. It is the quiet voice that says, "Go on," when every logical reason says, "Turn back." It is not blind recklessness. It is deliberate trust. It is the choice to anchor your heart to something greater than yourself, even when your eyes cannot confirm it. This courage is not built in a single leap. It is forged in countless small decisions. Choosing hope over cynicism, choosing trust over suspicion, choosing to keep walking when every step feels uncertain. History remembers those who believed without seeing, leaders, explorers, dreamers, people who planted seeds without knowing if they would live to see them grow. But it is not only for the famous. This courage lives in everyday lives. It is in the patient who believes in healing before the diagnosis changes. It is in the teacher who pours into a child's future they may never witness. It is in the person who loves without knowing if that love will be returned. To believe without seeing is to embrace the unknown, not as a threat, but as an open door. It is to say, I do not see the ending, but I trust the journey. And in that trust, fear loses its grip, and we find a strength that can carry us through the darkest nights, into the light we knew was there all along. Faith has a way of reaching across the spaces that divide us. It does not ask for passports, credentials, or shared backgrounds. It speaks a language older than borders and deeper than words. At its heart, faith is not only a bond between a person and the divine. It is a bridge between people, linking lives that might otherwise never touch. In a world so often split by differences, faith invites us to see what is common before we see what is separate. It teaches us that beyond our accents, our customs, and our histories, there beats the same human heart, longing for hope, yearning for connection, craving the comfort of belonging. Faith steps into that truth and says, you are not alone. When people meet on the bridge of faith, they meet in a place free from the noise of competition or judgment. It is where compassion flows freely, where strangers help one another without needing to be asked, and where kindness becomes an instinct rather than a duty. This bridge does not require that we agree on every detail of belief. It requires only that we recognize the value in each other's humanity. We see this bridge in the hands that reach out during disaster, in the prayers spoken across different traditions for the same cause, in the meals shared between families who have never before met. Faith dissolves the illusion that we are separate, revealing instead that our lives are threads in the same great tapestry. Building such a bridge is not always easy. It asks us to lay down prejudice, to risk trust, to listen more than we speak, But once built, it can carry the weight of the heaviest burdens. Across it travel forgiveness, understanding, and the quiet reassurance that we are part of something greater than ourselves. Faith as a bridge does not just connect us, it strengthens us. And in walking across it toward others, we often find that we are also walking closer to the very source of the faith that built it. There are moments in life when the light seems to vanish, when the familiar shapes of our world are swallowed by shadows. Plans collapse, certainties dissolve. The path forward is no longer visible, and the silence around us feels endless. In such moments it is easy to drift, pulled by fear, confusion, and despair. But faith stands as an anchor, holding us steady when the waves rise high and the night stretches long. An anchor does not stop the storm from raging, but it keeps the vessel from being swept away. In the same way, faith does not always remove the hardship, but it keeps us grounded when hardship threatens to unmake us. It fastens our hearts to something unshakable, a deeper truth that remains even when everything else seems uncertain. In the dark, fear whispers that we are alone. Faith answers with a quiet certainty that we are not. It reminds us of the times we have faced trouble before and endured, of the unseen hands that have carried us, of the promise that night will not last forever. That assurance does not always erase the pain, but it gives us the strength to withstand it. Anchored by faith, we can resist the pull of hopelessness. We can hold our position even when the wind howls, even when the world tells us to surrender. This steadiness is not born of stubborn pride. It is born of trust. Trust that there is a purpose beyond the present suffering. Trust that there is a shore ahead, though we cannot yet see it. And when the storm finally breaks, as all storms do, we find that faith has done more than keep us from being lost. It has deepened our roots, strengthened our spirit, and taught us that we are capable of surviving more than we imagined. In this way, faith is not only the anchor in dark times, it is the quiet force that allows us to rise again when the darkness passes. Pain is a language every human being understands. It comes in many forms: loss, betrayal, failure, grief, and when it arrives, it can feel like it strips life of its meaning. In those moments, faith does not deny the pain or pretend it is less than it is. Instead, it takes the raw weight of suffering and begins the slow, quiet work of turning it into something that can serve a greater purpose. Faith teaches us that what wounds us does not have to define us. The broken places in our lives can become the very places where light enters. The experiences that once brought us to our knees can, in time, become the reason we stand and help someone else who has fallen. Faith reshapes pain, not by erasing it, but by showing us that even the hardest chapters can be woven into a story worth telling. When we carry pain without faith, it can harden into bitterness, closing us off from others. But faith keeps the heart open. It whispers that our suffering can be more than an ending. It can be the seed of something new. The parent who has lost a child may become a source of comfort for others walking that same valley. The person who has endured illness may be moved to advocate for healing and hope. The soul that has been betrayed may learn to guide others toward trust. This transformation is not instant. It requires time, patience, and a willingness to believe that our lives still hold meaning, even when they feel shattered. Faith provides that belief. It frames our pain within a larger picture, reminding us that what we endure can shape who we become. In the end, the deepest wounds can become the most powerful testimonies, not because the hurt disappears, but because we have allowed it to teach us, to deepen us, and to turn us outward toward others. This is the quiet miracle of faith. It does not just carry us through pain, it gives that pain a purpose, and in doing so, it gives us back our lives. Faith is not meant to be locked away like a treasure kept for ourselves alone. It is a gift, and like all true gifts, its value grows when it is shared. We carry it within us, not only for our own strength, but so it can become a light for someone else's path. What we believe, the hope we hold, the trust we nurture. It is all meant to pass from hand to hand, heart to heart, across years and generations. Carrying faith forward does not always happen in grand gestures. Often it is found in the smallest acts, a kind word to someone in despair, a patient ear for a troubled soul, a quiet prayer whispered for someone who does not even know we are thinking of them. These simple offerings can plant seeds that grow in ways we may never see. The faith we carry forward can become a legacy. A child watches a parent endure hardship with grace and learns resilience. A friend sees another remain kind in the face of cruelty and learns the value of compassion. A community observes someone give generously even when they have little and learns that generosity is not about abundance, it is about love. Sharing faith does not mean imposing it. It means living it in such a way that others can feel its presence without a word being spoken. It is letting the light in us shine naturally in the choices we make, in the way we treat others, and in the way we face both joy and suffering. And in giving faith to others, we find that it never diminishes. Instead, it grows stronger within us. What we share is returned in ways we cannot predict. Through the gratitude of others, through the unexpected kindness that finds its way back to us, through the quiet knowing that we have played a part in lifting someone else's burden. Faith carried forward is more than tradition. It is a living flame. We tend it in our own hearts, we shelter it in the storms, and when the time comes, we place it gently into the hands of another, trusting they will keep it burning for those who come after them. Faith is not a relic of the past, nor a fragile hope meant only for peaceful days. It is alive, steady and unyielding, a quiet strength in the noise, a bridge where walls once stood, an anchor in the storm, a courage that walks into the unknown, a power that turns pain into purpose, and a gift that moves from one life to another. It does not always roar, but it always endures. And when we choose to live by it, we carry more than belief. We carry the light that can outlast the darkest night. So let's study this far out. And this is so let us hold it, live it, and pass it on. For in doing so, we do more than survive. We become the reason someone else finds the strength to believe.